Hello, I'm going to be talking about chapter one, this cohesive world in the text Coercion and its fallout, written by Murray Sidman. I want to start by just sharing some of the key points that I felt were pretty essential from the text, and then I'll go through them. So the first one is just the cohesive world. They kind of start with introducing that and what it is. And essentially, a cohesive world is threats that are used with punishment or loss. So it's almost like giving an ultimatum to someone and for them to either avoid punishment or loss. So it's kind of like what we would do to get someone to behave, right? So I think of I think of, traffic lights. So you have red light, green light, yellow light. Green light, I can go, no consequences. I'm not avoiding punishment or loss. Yellow light might feel a little risque. And so some people, they go caution and they stop, and others, they just speed right through. But red light, if you run through a red light, your punishment is going to be what? There's a few things. It could be an accident, which we really hope that's not the case, or you can end up with a speeding ticket. And those are not what we want to do. And that's not what we want. So we tend to follow what's expected of those lights to avoid a coercion. We don't want to litter in a litter. If you get caught littering, you could be fined. We use this with children. To get them to eat all their dinner. If my kids all the time, I want a snack, but you didn't eat your dinner. Well, I'm not hungry. Well, no, you're not hungry for the dinner, but you're hungry for a snack. And so it's basically, if you want the snack, you have to eat all your dinner. So I look at describing the cohesive world as a technique that we kind of use to get individuals to behave. As you continue to read through the chapter, it kind of goes into some other key points: hostile environment, hostile community. And I'm going to kind of cover those because there's like key bullets within those headings. So for the hostile environment, they talked about two scenarios, one being the physical environment and one being the internal environment. When I think of the physical environment, it's kind of unpredictable. The way the text kind of described it was like looking at the weather. We have hurricanes and tornadoes or storms. Like, we never know what they're going to be like. But we want to take precautions to be prepared for that what if scenario. So the way I look at it is it's a really hot day outside. I don't even know how, now my kids, but initially, like when you transition from seasons, winter to whatever, it's really hot outside. And so I don't get overheated. What I'm going to do to prevent or avoid a cohesive scenario is that I'm going to wear light clothing. I'm going to drink plenty of fluids. The other one is if you live in we know that Florida got hit with hurricanes. So if you live somewhere where you're going to be hit with hurricanes, there are measures that individuals can take to try to protect their home. It may not save their home, but it's supposed to help minimize the amount of damage. So they have those window shutters that they storm shutter. I don't know specifically the name, but they have shutters to close them. They put sand bags around their home. They stack their furniture. All of those are in hopes of avoiding damaged goods due to the unpredictability of a hurricane. So we're taking action to avoid that punishment or loss. So then we're going to talk about the internal environment, and internal is like what we deal with internally, so we might not outwardly see it. The text kind of describes it as like it's a physical discomfort that we have due to illness, or that might be followed with sickness and death. And I look at it as like depression, mental health, and unexpected loss. We rely on substances to deal with everyday life and the unexpected events that can be pressed upon one. So some people internally may not be able to handle the everyday struggles, and so they have to rely on a substance to get themselves through. So the way I think, and please quote me if I'm wrong or I'm misunderstanding because it's very possible, but like to help manage my anxiety, okay, that's an internal environment struggle that I deal with. So to help me, the substance I take is a pill, and that helps me navigate that. And it helps me avoid having those panic attacks, or helps avoid the punishment of just completely shutting down. So internal environment I think of is those things that we deal with internally that we have difficulty with, that we rely on something to help with the cohesion piece of it. And that might look different for everyone. So then it was talking about how new threats can come upon us as an unexpected instances occur. Sorry, I can't speak this evening. And when we look at our life, we've had so many things that happen unexpectedly, and we have to, we kind of end up doing the cohesion so that we are doing this so we don't look out of place or different from others. So inflation is one that I really thought of, is where we have the increase of cost of food, but our pay did not increase. A lot of people, everyday cost of living is much more, but my job pay has not increased to help supplement that difference. And so then now you have a new threat to your home, your environment, and that's essentially like, how are you going to feed your family? You struggled before, you're going to struggle even more. The next topic was hostile community, and in this one they talked about physical cohesion and social cohesion. So physical is, like that, where it could possibly be reasonable for the acceptance of social cohesion. And the way that they discuss social cohesion is basically that it's everywhere. Social media, you have especially social media influencers, especially for the younger population. Those kids are all about that. The advertisements, religion, the list is pretty broad in the sense of what can be seen as, social cohesion. We do certain things because we want to fit in. So someone may get TikTok because all their friends have TikTok. They may not want TikTok, but they're going to do it so that they can be accepted by those. So social cohesion kind of implies that actions are the result of others, and where it encourages one to act in an involuntary manner by threatening the individual. And it's not like, I'm going to beat you up threatening. No, it's more of like, I think of it as like, it could be an internal or external threatening feeling, because they want to fit in and they don't want to feel left out, so they're going to do something. So if you're with a group of friends, they all are drinking, and they're like, oh, come on, you got to drink. And then you go, no, then they're like, sorry, you can't be my friend. And so like, it kind of threatens you because you're straining to be different. You're choosing a different path. And hopefully I'm explaining that right. The last one, environmental cohesion. Obviously, like, our life and our environments can definitely have an impact on how we're going to respond. And so they just talk about like how our environment is a part of our language, and that we are going to find ways to describe and explain what our own actions are. So in summary, essentially what chapter 1 is talking about is just that cohesive control exists throughout our entire life. And I kind of put it as like cohesive control like is very similar to aversive therapy. And that's what I wanted to leave as our question is cohesive control, aversive therapy the same? And if so, how? And how would that like impact I don't know. Coming up with questions is hard, guys. But I really wonder, is cohesive control and aversive therapy the same? I think that they very much are. Like, we're presenting a negative stimulus and then we're doing this. And if so, how? Like, how would we describe that? Like, how can we elaborate it? And if it is different, what are those differences so that we can kind of separate those? I'll leave it with that. Thank you.